Hey, it's me. It's Andrew. I am going to try something new. We've just started a new series at church called Christianity, and over the next few weeks, I'm going to try and record the little blog that I do in the newsletter. Every week when I send this newsletter out, I try and link the blog to the previous Sunday's talk in some way. So I thought I'm going to try experiment with is just to do a reading of the blog each week, because I know not everybody is a reader. So let's see how this works out. Okay, here goes. The title of this week's blog is I Believe. I don't believe in Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, or the Tooth Fairy. I believe in Jesus Christ. I am a Christian. Christianity makes a public truth claim, and that claim is that Jesus Christ died and then was raised from the dead. Christianity also says that if this didn't happen, I should dismiss it entirely. In 1 Corinthians 15 verse 14, the Apostle Paul writes, "And if Christ has not been raised, our preaching is useless, and so is your faith." But by all accounts, it did happen. Since ancient times, even the opponents of Christianity never doubted there really was a man named Jesus who was crucified. So it's impossible to deny the historicity of Jesus. His crucifixion, too, is a certain fact. He died on a cross outside of Jerusalem at a place called Golgotha, which in Aramaic means place of the skull. And you know, Roman soldiers were not entirely ineffective at killing. When Jesus died, a soldier took his spear and pierced his side to make sure that he was dead. Blood and water came out, and that was consistent with that spear rupturing the pericardial sac that surrounds the heart. And then something phenomenal took place. The earliest accounts of Jesus' life firmly attest that he rose from the dead. The fact that the early Christians claimed this and that their claim didn't quickly fall apart suggests that something extraordinary happened. The risen Jesus appeared to people, to both small groups and large groups. People who touched Jesus and spoke with Jesus and even ate with Jesus. The two Marys in Matthew 28. The two disciples on the road to Emmaus in Luke 24. The 11 apostles together in that room, Luke 24, John 20. 7 disciples out fishing in John 21. And more than 500 people at the same time, 1 Corinthians 15. There are thousands of surviving ancient New Testament manuscripts, and the New Testament texts that we have today are nearly identical to the original texts. The text of the various ancient New Testament manuscripts agree with each other to a high degree. So when it gives us all this information, we got to know there's something to stand on because there's little variance between the texts. Surprisingly, one of Christianity's most committed enemies also testified to the resurrection. That was Paul, the Apostle Paul, who previously his name was Saul. And he was extremely disinclined to believe in a resurrected Jesus. But he got touched by God. He had an experience with God and became the greatest evangelist for the Christian faith. He wrote most of the New Testament and he landed up dying for the faith. And even more surprising is that Jesus' death and resurrection was foretold in the Old Testament. The most striking instances really in the Old Testament are probably in the book of Isaiah. And the Dead Sea Scrolls, which were discovered in the 1940s in the last century, contained a complete book of Isaiah that was radiocarbon dated back to between 335 BC and 107 BC. So Isaiah foretold of the death and resurrection of Jesus, and Isaiah clearly predated Jesus by centuries. So we might ask, what does it take to believe? Now, many people say the only way that they're ever going to believe in God or in Christianity is if they have proof. But we believe in a lot of things without proof. And there are many examples of information or data not being conclusive, and yet we believe. In physics, economics, history, mathematics, philosophy, they all make claims for which there is no proof. Airtight proof almost never exists. And you know, within nearly every decision and action in life is a leap of faith. Faith is the bridge to that otherwise impossible gap between evidence and conviction. But it's not blind faith. There is really good reason for us to believe in the death and resurrection of Jesus. The preponderance of evidence is in favor of a conviction to believe. So the question is, what if Jesus really did rise from the dead? Well, I got to tell you, if that's true, that should have profound implications for our understanding of the universe, of our existence, of morality, of God, and everything else. For me, the resurrection of Jesus is the fundamental truth claim of Christianity. And if we can gain confidence in this, then it provides us with a foundation to have faith in the rest of the claims of Christianity. And if we believe it, then we have to engage with the world that we live in on the basis of that Christian truth. Well, that's my first go. I hope you enjoy it. We'll see how it goes again next week. I'm going to switch you off now. Blessings. Have a great day.